Hello, welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Podcast. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard. That's L-E-N-A-R-D. It looks French. It's not. It's Leonard without an O. Thank you for tuning in. As Graham Norton used to say on his show, let's get on with the show!
Warning. This episode contains some audio and or video glitches. It is not your equipment.
Joining me today is John Zachary. Welcome to the show, John.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I'm great to be here.
Yeah, now before I get to, now my audience knows it's no secret. I use Podmatch to find some guests, and I found you via Podmatch, and your bio saying we have traditionally overlooked because we separate science, history, and belief into different categories. I wholeheartedly agree that's been a major problem, and we'll get into that. But first, you know of John DeLorean, right? The DeLorean automobile?
Yeah, I remember that.
His name was John Zachary DeLorean.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Zachary was his middle name.
I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I only know it because I owned two DeLoreans at one time.
Oh, you had two of them.
Yeah, well, I'm in the Detroit area, and of course, he was in the Detroit area too, and I actually ran across him one time. But anyway, that's not what you're not here to discuss automotive history.
No.
So the usual first real question is, where were you born and raised? Where are you now? What significant places you may have been between, and that, how much time can you share with our listeners how much time you spent in prison for what?
Okay. Yeah, I was born and raised in Colorado on a farm. And so we were always working as children. I'm a 60s child, probably like you. So when I got out of high school, I didn't go to college. I traveled, I actually hitchhiked, and I traveled to Israel. I lived in a kibbutz. I don't know, you know what a kibbutz is?
I've heard the term, but no, offhand, I don't.
It's like a commune. So when the
okay,
it's a commune, a farming commune. And so when Jewish people started returning to Israel, they first came like in groups, and they would live on these farms, work together. They raised their children as a group. That was what was unique about them. And it's kind of like a communal thing.
Hey, if it's done by choice, there's nothing wrong with that. Worldly communism is a problem when it's done by force at the barrel of a gun. But a biblical community is free will. People choosing voluntarily to do that, there's not a problem. Yeah. Go on. I'm sorry.
So I stayed in Israel about a half a year. I went and toured all the sites. Okay. I would go to Qumran, and I would hike into the caves, actually.
Ooh,
and,
cool.
I would see the tourists come. They would get off the bus, take a 10-minute tour, and leave. And I was there a couple, 2-3 hours taking pictures of them. And I was in a cave. And so it was pretty interesting. Then I came back.
All right. Well, my audience knows I can't pass the joke, so I got to tease you. Some would dare say you're living in a cave. You're living in the dark. But I'm bummed. It's a joke. It's a joke, people. It's a joke. It's just a joke.
Okay. My cave is lined with marble, though. Anyway, I came back, and then I studied to become a pastor. I was born and raised in a Christian home, and we went to church every night we were in there on Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday, and I felt called to be a pastor by the age of 14. So I come back and I go to study to become a pastor. I'm not really a pastoral type person, though. And so a spiritual experience happened to me while I was preaching, though. that caught my attention and led to my research. And so I was going to preach this sermon on the second coming of Christ. And the ladies got up and sang a special song, two of them, and I'm sitting there on the front row. They sang one line into the song, and I heard rustling above my head, and I'm thinking, what's going on up there? And then I heard the word like real clear, anoint. And then suddenly a ball of power, like 8 to 10 inches in diameter, came down on my head. And it was like this, and it drifted like 3 inches a second and stopped here. Well, when that happened, I went like that with my right hand because you could feel it and everybody saw it. And then I preached the sermon, had a great response, and ended up studying that sermon for like 14 years. This was 73 to 86. And then I ended up writing a book. So since that time, so I've lived in Israel, in Oklahoma City area, where I went to college. I got 2 degrees there. Grew up in Colorado. I moved to Denver, started working aerospace and as a technical writer. They closed that down. I went to California because they were having trouble. I led this or supervised the technical writing group there. And then I went into reliability engineering. So I'm very advanced at doing calculations for, and that's what I use in my research of the Bible. It's like a engineering analysis of the Bible as a scientific document, you might say. Believe that or not. And then we moved to Florida. Currently, we live in Florida because we retired. So there's a lot went on across 50 years to write this book. And it's not just the first book. It keeps getting better. I wrote the first one and I only knew 2 things at that time. Now I know multitudes of them. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. Couple things. Again, you triggered in a good way, not an emotional, hysteric snowflake way. Another joke.
Yeah.
A church near me had a sign out said celebrating our pastor, or no, we heart our pastor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, and there was an event. So I went in and said, why is he leaving? And of course, they looked at me funny because they didn't understand I was setting up a joke, which is if he was staying, he'd be a presenter, not a pastor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun with language.
There you go. That's good. You like to laugh? Well, you got me. I tell jokes all the time.
That's good. And I joke with guests a lot about, the tongue-in-cheek, how much time did you spend in prison for what? But the reality is that relates to the subject matter we're talking, because some don't even realize the original Holy Roman Catholic Church to this day still runs spatial telescopes for space exploration and has commissioned science over the years to, as you're talking, not to prove the Bible, that they go hand in hand, one and the same. The God that created physics don't disprove the God that created those laws, but they've gotten it wrong over time. And people like Copernicus and others, literally, for pushing the accepted norm of, and nowhere in the Bible does it really suggest everything revolves around the earth, but that was the prevailing thought. And thankfully, a lot of them, like also Leonardo da Vinci and other brilliant minds, stuck to their guns, and the church re-examined the text and realized it's not Jesus or God that gets it wrong. It's us humans that screw up in the reading of the text at times. Yes?
Yes. I would agree with everything you said. There's a lot of misinterpretation and invalid assumptions that are running the planet. And they teach them in the universities, and they should be challenged. That's what I do.
Yep. So, yeah, and also, I have a friend, Pastor Richard Clark Dietering, who's also does archaeological work. So,
Yeah,
I wish I could introduce the two of you, because it sounds like
yeah,
the two of you do similar things. Again,
yeah,
demonstrating, and over, science more and more today is discovering the things in the Bible as historical relevance, not allegorical story. Yes?
I agree 100% because what I do is basically there's a problem that nobody can answer. That problem is this. Can you tell me, anybody tell me what will happen on July 11 in the year 2691, more than 600 years in the future? Can you do that?
Not even Nostradamus.
Yeah. Nobody can do it. But so the whole thing, after that spiritual experience I described earlier, uh, I got into this by curiosity. This is the question. There's one time-based prophecy in the entire Bible. It foretells of specific future events that have to happen on a time-based system. So I
But
thought
like
to my
Nostradamus, it is vague in ways so that it isn't necessary. Like if we, and there have been plenty of people who try to predict the exact date of Jesus's return or the exact date the world's coming to an end, and of course they're always wrong.
Yep. Yep. So anyway, so my curiosity question was this. If you scientifically date when those two events happened, what will we learn? Well, we learn that the Bible actually foretells the future centuries ahead of time to the very day. And that's what we discover. So it's a mind-blowing thing. And actually, I call this scientific apologetics. I call it that because you have regular apologetics, but they can't prove anything. You still have to have faith. But when you do scientific apologetics, I actually use and analyze NASA scientific data, astronomy, lunar eclipses, solar eclipses, things like that are in the book to scientifically date when those events occurred. And when you get that done and you've done 50 years of research, well, like in 1991, the first book, I only knew of two of these events. Now I know many of them. The more you get and you see repeatability and consistent repeatability, it doesn't just happen once, it's happening over and over and over.
Hence the phrase, history repeats. Not really what, in some cases it does, but I prefer the alternate phrase, history may not repeat, but it sure does rhyme an awful lot.
Yeah. Well, the Christian worldview is that history is linear. It's in a straight line, and when you read the book,
it's more like the Mayan cyclical, round, repeats.
Yeah,
yes.
It's being repeated because of divine intervention in human events. He's controlling people at a high level, some of them, not all of them, but just a few people. That's all it takes.
No, because we are given free will, and you have to give yourself up to God to want to be allowed to be used. You have to turn over your free will, and God then uses people he needs at times. Yes, but otherwise, most of the 8 billion people on the planet all have their own free will and their desire to do whatever the hell they want. And unfortunately, some use that for evil. Go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, a good example of what you just said, free will, but you wanted to do it, but it was an act of God. Because one of the foretold events is the destruction of Herod's temple in AD 70. Okay, it happened on an exact date. And the two people that set it on fire, two Roman soldiers. One of them grabbed a firebrand, the other one lifting him up to the window, and he threw it in, and that was it. And when that temple burned down, that was the will of the Creator, because it actually validates, you can say it supports or tends to. If you read the reviews on Amazon, a lot of those people are reading it and they're saying science actually validates the resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, that's the story
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the story that immediately came to my mind when you're talking proofs and validations of future prophecy. That's why, to me, I speak out about anti-Semitism a lot.
Yeah.
People who want to blame Jews for Christ's death.
No.
It was God's will. God ordained it. God prophesied it. It had to happen for Jesus to prove he was the Christ and die to be resurrected. So to blame Pilate or the few Jews or those calling for Barabbas, any of them, is to blame God, because they were playing a part in the prophecy that God ordained. So to blame any class of people today for something 2,000 years ago is just plain stupid. And the other thing, it's just asinine. It's devoid of understanding God's will and biblical prophecy. And the other thing you said is what came before the term used that you're kind of referring here differently would be Bible code. Yes?
I've heard of the Bible code. Are you talking about equidistant letter spacing?
Well, not necessarily that, but indeed scientific things in the Bible that indeed, if you break them down, were messages for the now when we would better understand them. You're breaking down codes that wouldn't have been understood 2,000 years ago and will understand even more 2,000 years from now.
Yeah, I would agree. So, like you talked about, we were talking about the two soldiers. See, they were ticked off.
Uh-oh, you froze.
And okay, they were, because it was our chance to end it. It's unstable. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We're having a Zoom hiccup.
Well, I have to trying to get another computer. This might be a problem. I'm gonna, and I was so busy I didn't have time. Stuff. Hold. You're not now anyway, right?
You broke up there. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, hold on. Let me do a little bit more. And then we'll go on.
Well, you seem stable now, so let's go with what you've got now. Seems to be working.
Oh, you do? I'm trying to save this thing. Let me go here and call it okay, got rid of that one. Okay, so I'm stable again?
Yes. So anyway, but
the two soldiers that burned down Herod's temple or set it on fire, they were ticked off. So it was their free will to burn it down. But
there was a nudge. Nudge.
They did it on the precise day that was foretold centuries earlier. So, in other words, this text, time-based predictive text, foretold of these future events that had to happen on an exact date. Okay, to do that, the only way to foretell the future, because none of us can do it, is a being that transcends the universe, space-time. Space and time have no control over the Creator, and he's intervening in human events all across history. So the destruction of Herod's temple is one of those events. And what it does is because in Herod's temple, they practiced the Old Testament sacrificial system. It was destroyed in this time-based matrix from the 70 weeks prophecy on the 14,000th day. Okay, well, the prophecy itself uses the numbers 7 and 70, but it's hiding 14,000 days when you do this deep analysis and scientifically dated. And the other thing, well, like the scientific date for Herod's temple, because we're using NASA scientific data, the confidence level, you can calculate it. The probability of us being misled by this data is 1 chance in 10 to the power of 66. Okay,
getting hit by lightning twice on the same sunny day.
Something like that, yeah. Because the probability of being misled would be like 1 chance in 1,000 billion. You got to say a billion 7 times. It's not a coincidence. Okay, now the other one was the decree to rebuild Jerusalem. It took me 20 years to figure out how to get the actual scientific date and prove it. And the confidence level was 10 to the power of 52. Very high. Now, if either of these days were off by even 1 day, you wouldn't find these 14,000 day sequences because they actually start with Moses, hidden in the earliest texts of the Bible until now. And then it begins again with Solomon's temple, Herod's temple. There's the same alignment with Ezekiel's temple. These are all control features saying God is intervening in human events to reveal what is true of the spiritual realm. It also reveals what's not true. People don't like that, though. Some people don't.
Well, what comes to my mind, I meant to interject before, is God explains the Big Bang. The Big Bang coming from nothingness, the atheist thought, that's a belief pattern too, that something can come from nothing. Is it me? Now, the question, well, where did God come from? Well, that's above all our pay grades. But God can explain the Big Bang. The Big Bang doesn't explain or explain away God. But anyway, I just wanted to get that thrown in there as a thought.
Well, I agree.
We haven't
whether you believed in the creationists, the Earth's only 6,000 or 10,000 years old, or you believe in the Big Bang and it's got scientific evidence to support it. Either way, you've got a creator.
Yeah. Intelligent design.
Yeah. Intelligent design as well. There's no way. What was the
guy in the Bueller movie, right? Bueller. I can't think of his name. He did Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed. Ben, the money guy.
Ben Steinman or something like
Ben Stein or so. Yeah, he did Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed documentary about creationism being removed from schools and indeed all the proofs of intelligent design. The eyeball alone, for that complexity to just randomly have come together. Again, you're talking statistical odds. It's like getting hit by lightning 10 times on the same sunny day. It's just not believable. It requires more of a belief in random fantasy than it does an intelligent designer.
Yeah. And chapter 5 about atheism. That's one of the features, questions I bring up. I'm not talking about intelligent design or things, but I'm asking, since basically atheism is based on pseudoscience. You claim you have science, but you don't. And you'll even acknowledge that the multiverse is not provable. Show me one other universe. Can you do that? Nobody has seen one, but yet they claim it's got to be true. And they'll say, well, it takes faith to believe in the Bible. And if it takes faith for this, we're going to choose this.
Yeah.
But here now you have the scientific dating with these control features that actually cross 3,500 years and are repeating consistently and at the same control period.
Yeah.
It says this is a feature that reveals God is intervening in human events. And some people claim, well, there's no evidence. Read the book and it's all over your face.
Now, a couple things. I always say exclusion does not mean preclusion, or preclusion does not mean exclusion, however you wish to say. It's like reincarnation. Just because it isn't in the Bible doesn't mean it's precluded. There can be multiple physical human presence for but one eternal soul. It also doesn't preclude aliens on other planets. Like in the Spielberg upcoming movie, I love the scene that's in the trailer, the Catholic nun saying, why would God make all that space and leave it empty? So God can explain aliens, it doesn't preclude it. And what about the Nephilim and blah, 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 right?
Oh, you know about that.
Yeah, so the multiverse. Again, exclusion does not mean preclusion. A multiverse could indeed be real, but God can explain that. God may have created that.
Yeah. Well, he may have. I doubt it, though, because nobody's ever seen one.
Yeah. Well, there's a movie I love. Keanu Reeves was in the movie Constantine. Did you see that? Whereas hell is kind of another dimensional plane of the current existence. I highly recommend that movie. I love it. Keanu Reeves, Constantine.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't, some people, oh my God, sacrilege and blasphemy. It's like, oh, please relax, people. Just please relax. But we haven't given the book title yet. What is the title of the book?
Oh, my book. It's called The Science Behind the Story of Jesus by John Zachary. So you can look it up on Amazon and read the reviews. It's got nothing but 5-star reviews. And
that kind of amazes me, because I always say about reviews, it's hard to get someone who likes your work. They may love your book. They'll tell all their friends, but they won't take 2 seconds to leave a review about it a lot of times. And the haters, the ones who want to attack you personally, will go out of their way, even buy the book, just to be able to leave a nasty, negative review that isn't true, because they didn't read the book. They just bought it in an ebook just so they could flame you. So that's kind of surprising, because I do have a friend, Bruce Fleury, who wrote the Negro Project about Margaret Sanger. And of course, and the same with my Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You book. There are the haters who want to pile on and attack it because they can't refute the facts and the reality within. So they, Alinsky style, have to attack the author instead.
Well, it's hard to attack it when you use real scientific data. Okay. And you can calculate confidence levels. I have a graph in the book showing the 10 to the power of 66. And the R squared values, I think, are 5 nines. That means it explains 99.999% of the data. But your confidence is through the roof. Normally use 95% confidence for engineering, stuff like that. Now,
no such thing as 100%, right? No such thing as perfect.
It's that small.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we have to remember, too, we were told no one shall know the time
Yeah.
regarding later in Armageddon and the Christ's return.
Yes.
So there will be purposeful deceptions. And of course, the great deceiver is always looking to deceive. So we do have to bear those things in mind, that we are human, frail, flawed, and imperfect, and we can be wrong on something or another. But because we might discover something wrong and own up and admit to it, doesn't mean everything else is wrong. Yes?
No. Well, that's true. I think, the reason people haven't given me a bad review, but if you look in it, it's all based on logic and real scientific data. So I'm using ancient
That's what the
Babylonian
haters hate
astronomer.
the most, though. The
Yeah, but they
emotional
can't.
snowflakes hate logic and reason and
Yeah,
facts.
but how are you going to attack something if you calculate? You got a confidence level so high, it's through the roof. Here's real NASA scientific data. Here's the references. I also reference Babylonian astronomy data, so that if you're an astronomer in ancient history, you would observe a lunar or solar eclipse. You would say it happened in the year of this king, in this year, this month, this day. Okay, now that's all been lined out now, but they didn't know. They might say, well, there was a full total eclipse. It started at midnight or 2 in the morning or something like that, but they don't know the minute of it. So you go over to NASA and you get their scientific data and you get the precise date of that event down to the minute even. Well, the people who have analyzed the astronomy say, even though it's thousands of years ago, it's within 1 hour of the event. That's your error rate. Okay, well, I'm just in the day, so that's close enough.
Yeah. Well,
You
you
say
you
it's close
trigger
enough for government work.
exactly. You triggered another joke. You mentioned
Yeah.
you mentioned lunar. So, in other
Yeah.
words, you're admitting you're loony. But
Yeah.
it's a joke. It's a joke, people.
Joke.
Can we please lighten up?
Yeah, that's funny. You made me lose my train of thought.
Well, anyway, the time has flown.
Oh,
We
I
need
was going
to.
to say this.
Oh,
Okay. In addition, okay, I'm relying on people who observe these events. They were there. But their opinion, because they're writing their opinion has to be backed up by the positions of the sun, the moon, and the earth. Once you have that backing up what they write, you know it's credible. So how are you going to argue against something like that? And that's just the way it is.
well, the only valid argument is again that we're all human, flawed, and frail, and there's no such thing as perfect. And we can be, it's like carbon dating.
Yeah.
We assume we know, we think we know the atmospheric conditions through all this time to be able to properly carbon date something.
Yeah.
And we may say the probability is indeed high, but we cannot know for certain until we meet God and find out it indeed is true or not.
I
But
think you're talking about ancient history when you said those comments, because you're talking about, millions of years ago, right? Okay, well, I'm talking about, carbon. They say they did radiocarbon dating on the oldest known copy of Daniel. It was released on June the 4th in 2025, and it is in the range at a 95% confidence level of 230 BC to 160. So, yet it foretells of Herod's temple's destruction in AD 70, more than 2 centuries into the future, which when you do the analysis is on an exact, precise planned date, foretold centuries earlier. And the other thing was this: if those scientific dates are off by even one day, you wouldn't get this control feature. Okay, this is how exact it is. So think of Solomon's temple. Jeremiah, the prophet, observed it, and he wrote in chapter 52, verses 12 to about 14, right in there. It was on the 10th day of the 5th month when Josephus observed the destruction of Herod's temple. He refers to the Babylonian destruction. He says it was on the same date for the Herod's temple. That's a control feature. Well, if you go back to Ezekiel's temple, which is just a vision he received, okay, all those Herod's and Solomon's temple were destroyed on the 10th day of the 5th month, and that's the 14,000th day for both of them. Okay, you go back to Ezekiel's vision, the 14,000th day is the same date as those other two temples. That's control. Nobody even knows that. I actually didn't write it in the book because I'm still learning. But it's a good point.
Hey, we all are always learning. But I'm going to tack on a couple of songs that I've written. One is God is Among Us, and one, God is in Everything. He still speaks to us.
Yeah.
And
that was a song from the 90s, wasn't it?
No, it's something I just wrote. But maybe in the
yeah.
back of my mind there is some subconscious influence from something years ago. I don't know. But yeah, no, my two originals, I just wrote them this week. They'll be old by the time this airs. But anyway, the point in being what you're saying, the time-based predictive text and Bible code, whatever we want to call it, we are on the same page in saying God is speaking to us through the Bible still, in that, again, no one would have been smart enough 2,000 years ago to grasp this. And we're nowhere near as smart as we'll be 2,000 years from now.
Yeah. A lot of it was just strictly observation. Okay, so the Gospel of Luke and the Gospel of John have details that are missing in the other two. In Luke's Gospel, he tells you when the year that Jesus was baptized in Luke 3:1, the 15th year of Tiberius, and all the coins in the Roman Empire that have been discovered agree with this 1 year precisely. Nobody can argue against it. And it's more relevant and credible data because you're not seeing or listening to what a person is writing who could modify it to fit his opinion. Okay, but the scientific dates on these coins validate Luke chapter 3 to that 1 year period. Then in the Gospel of John, we find if you read the book that the second Passover was on a Saturday, and the only year that fits that is AD 30. That was the second year. He was just observing it. It aligns with all the data, but all the theologians have missed it. They never comment.
Well, time has flown. One, I've not said your name enough. Normally, I like to repeat the guest's name several times so it sinks in the listeners or viewer if you're viewing on behind-the-scenes video, or for the 40-ish audio-only platforms. I've been speaking with John Zachary, not John Zachary DeLorean. He's passed.
Yeah.
John Zachary, the author of, the title of the book again is?
The Science Behind the Story of Jesus.
Amen.
And it only gets 5 stars. You can go read them. People are fascinated by the scientific dating because it makes sense. Nobody's refuted it yet. In fact, I said, if you don't like it, buy a copy, redline it, and send it to me so I can change to the correct worldview.
Yeah, I get that. A piece I wrote on beforeitsnews.com harkens back to what I was saying about the reviews. If they can't refute your facts, they will want to Alinsky you personally attack you. I say that all the time about my online writings and my nonfiction books. If there's something in here you can refute, use your words, bring your proof, not your feelings. And everyone's entitled to an opinion, but it matters if your opinion is reality-based or unicorn fart fantasy delusion-based.
That's
right?
good. That's
so,
correct.
Yeah, I'm not perfect. If I get something wrong, refute me with logic, reason, and proof. If I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong because I'm not filled with the sin of hubris. I can be wrong.
Hubris.
Prove me wrong, right? And I go into that in a couple of my constitutionalist politics books that's companion to this. It's not the sin of pride, it's hubris, it's pridefulness. I should be proud of little Sally getting all A's. I should be proud of little Johnny hitting the walk-off home run at Little League. I should be proud of a day's job well done. It's hubris. That's the sin, to go into the boss and demand all these other people are worthless. They couldn't have done what I did. Fire them and give me their salary. There is a big difference there. Yes?
True.
Anyway, to wrap it up, John Zachary. The book title one more time is
The Science Behind the Story of Jesus. Hold on just a minute.
Oh, yeah. For those on behind the scenes video, there it is. If you're viewing on the 5 behind the scenes video channels, you can see the cover. If you're on audio, you're just SOL. Yeah, that's why we say, that's why we vocalize it. And for the benefit of the transcript, also, we have to spell things out. Some people may read this episode in a transcript. Now,
well, if you read this book, your faith will go through the roof.
Yeah, but then I'll have a hole in the roof.
Well, that's fine.
The rain will get in. Anyway, enough jokes now. Do you have a website for people to find you?
Oh, yeah. You can go to authorjohnzachary.com.
Author John Zachary. Zachary. Yes?
Correct. Yep. Author, AUTHOR.
Yep.
I write books.
All right. Well, Zachary could
scientific, it's science, religion, interface, research, 50 years of study, and it's difficult to refute. I'm still waiting on one.
And since you can interpret and spell John different ways, there's one way to spell author, unless if you're talking foreign language. So author, John, with an H, John, Zachary, A's, no E in there, ZACHARY.com. So now we've done it for the benefit of the transcript. No one can screw it up. It'll be right there in black and white for them. Thank you, John Zachary. It was a great conversation.
I love talking with you and joking with you. That was great.
Take care. God bless. Have a good one. Hold up. I just wanted to pile on with some additional thoughts. I made a note, time, multiverse. Now, hopefully I'll remember to get this all out. But per our conversation, and the history may not repeat, but it sure does rhyme a lot. And while we as humans I'm going to hold up, right, my planner here, my calendar, we tend to experience and record time in a linear fashion. But as he stated, and I said, it's more like the Mayan calendar. Circular, flows, rolls back around. A perfect example of this I wanted to give, is the weather. Now, winter may not be exactly the same as the last winter and the winter before it, but we all know the seasons cycle and roll back around again. A perfect example of the concept of the Mayan circular rotating calendar rather than linear. Summers aren't exactly repetitive and history repeating the same as it was, but it rhymes. We know in our individual regions what we expect generally of the seasons, and there's give and take and some change. Sometimes they're better, sometimes they're worse. Might be rainier, might be drier from one season, and those even usually are a broader cycle. Anyway, all right. So time, moving on. Multiverse. Exclusion does not mean preclusion, or preclusion does not mean exclusion. Just because the Bible doesn't say there's a thing called the multiverse. There are dimensions, and there might even be interdimensional travel. Oh, that's not blasphemy. That's not heretical. God doesn't owe you all the answers on your time to your desires. It's on God's time and in God's plan. So because it doesn't say it, doesn't mean it can't be there. And we just don't understand it. It's above our pay grade. And I go back to the Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves. Rachel Weisz, I think, is it. I love that film. But again, there will be, blasphemy. It's heretical. Blah, 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 blah. Get over yourself. Just because someone posits a creative concept that maybe hell is another dimensional plane of the reality in the same space we exist doesn't make it blasphemous or heretical. We don't know. God does. And again, God doesn't owe you all the answers. If you think he does, then go back to the conversation on hubris. Get over yourself. So, the Constantine movie, great, wonderful, interesting interpretation of possibilities, not saying plausibility, but possibility. And hey, this makes a great movie. It asks important questions about seen and unseen forces. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it. And since I'm talking Christian movies, Risen, based on the resurrection through the eyes of a Roman soldier. Brilliant Christian movie. Brilliant. Another one of my favorites, Mom's Night Out. More recently, the best Christmas pageant ever, and my favorite all-time Christian movie, The Resurrection of Gavin Stone. Oh, again, heavens, blasphemy, heretical. You can't talk about resurrection of a human except Christ. It's a figurative spiritual resurrection, not a physical one. Get over yourself. It's a comedy, so it isn't taking the Bible and beating someone over the head with it. If you're only preaching to the choir, you're not saving additional souls. And these other movies I mentioned raise questions and may bring people to the faith. with questions. What does the Bible say? What doesn't the Bible say? And look into it more. So they're not a bad thing. They're a good, it's like the Dan Brown movies. Catholic nuns are out there protesting. Fact fiction blend. My Terror Strikes book is a historical fiction, fact fiction blend. Dan Brown brought a lot of people to Christ. How? Why? Protesting it didn't help bring anyone. The movies, people went in and saw, okay, and came out, what is real here? What is fiction here? What are the realities versus, again, the fictional story parts to make a good story? Go home and crack open the Bible and look for yourself. So Dan Brown didn't destroy people's faith. He helped bring people into the faith. I'm all right. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Love you all. And you either get it or you don't. But again, Matthew 23 Christians, they just want to focus on one little piece of the Bible and ignore the rest of it and ignore the fact. It is fact. It is reality. It is delusional to not acknowledge that the Bible doesn't say everything about every topic. The dimensional thing, just because it doesn't say it doesn't mean therefore it can't be true. You are not owed every answer. Take care. God bless. Love you all. Okay, hold up again. I lied. Of course I didn't lie. It's a figure of speech. You know what I mean. And this is part of the point. People getting hung up on stupid stuff, on words that's meant in a figurative, not literal way. I said I lied, right? No, that wasn't it. No, I'm not done. Just sing the scream. If you're seeing behind the scenes, apologies. And you could see in the background now the Epic Movie Theater of MJR Theaters over here, because I want to mention one more movie. One more movie. The movie Heretic. Again, heads are going to explode because I am going to say that it's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie. I forget who's in it. I can picture him in my head, but good actor, but he played got people upset because he played the Oompa Loompa in the Wonka remake, but whatever. Heretic. I loved the movie because I am not weak of faith. I have no problem understanding other people have questions and they can raise them. And I don't immediately get defensive and take offense to them raising questions. As I speak to on my beforesnews.com piece, did Jesus ever contradict himself? No. Humans screw things up and get them wrong. Like everything revolves around the earth thing. Humans screwed that up, not God, not Jesus. If people have questions, it's not a problem to me. Question, because I'm strong in my faith. It doesn't hurt my faith to have somebody raise questions. because all will be revealed in the end in God's time, on God's plan, not ours. Doesn't owe me, them, any of us all the answers to our desired questions. Eventually, all will be revealed, not in this plane of existence, but in the hereafter on God's time. So, heretic, raising questions and challenging faith is not upsetting to me. It's not blasphemy, even though the movie is titled Heretic. It isn't. It raises issues of heresy, as some would call it. It's not heretical in the sense of it being a movie and asking questions. Again, if it makes people leave the theater and pick up their Bible, what is in here? What is not in here? What is still an open question? And again, God doesn't owe you every answer. Period. Get over yourself. Hubris. He doesn't owe you every answer. So the movie Heretic, great, wonderful movie. I give it an A+. It's a great movie. If you're strong in your faith, it's only a problem to someone who's weak in their faith and thinks ahead of time, oh, they have all the answers. Nobody but God has all the answers. Questions can be asked. I may not have the answers. That's not a problem. I'm human. I'm not expected to have all the answers. Anyway, I'm really done this time. I promise. I'm not going to hit record again to add another segment. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Love you all. But it was important to me when the Heretic movie popped in my head to have to address that. Bye-bye.
In the dust of my own mess, you still call my name. Hands shaking, heart unsteady. You don't look away. You stand in the middle of it all, closer than my fear. I was lost in the crowd, then you drew me near. And every wall falls down when you step into the room. Every lie goes quiet when I hear you move. My soul leans in, my knees give way. I know who you are, I know what stays. God among us, God among us, you are here, you are here. God among us, God among us, hope comes alive right here. You are here, you are here, oh, you are here. You touch the broken table, you touch the bent and bruised. The morning finds the ashes and they bloom for you. You hold the names I can't say, you carry what I hide. When I'm too weak to stand up, you keep me alive. And every wall falls down when you step into the room. Every lie goes quiet when I hear you move. My soul leans in, give way. I know who you are. I know what stays. God among us, God among us. You are here. You are here. You are here. God among us, God among us. Hope comes alive right here. You are here. You are here. Oh, you are here. Savior in the shadows, King with nail-scarred hands. You don't run from my ruins. You rebuild the land. Here in the ache, here in the blaze, I lift my voice and I keep saying, God among us, God among us. You are here. You are here. You are here. God among us, God among us. Hope comes alive right here. You are here. You are here.
Hold on, don't tune out just yet. Now, you've often seen shows doing ads. I've had some mid-show ads that have run, or at the end. Often at the end, it would be an ad for my own book. So does that really count? But, you know, podcast sponsorships, you've seen them. Bunch of podcast people hawking products they probably have nothing to do with. Well, that's not the case with me. Now, I've got a couple partnership, sponsorship irons in the fire. These aren't paid that I'm giving you here. I am just giving you recommendations of a couple irons I have in the fire. A free shout out to, for one, Duncan. I'm going to hold up my How to Write a Book and Get It Published because I don't have a physical copy of my latest book, Roller Coasters, The Lifetime, because it is out on Amazon e-Kindle exclusive for only $1.99 because it's a short story, so I can keep your price down, or audiobook $4.99, inexpensive. So there it is, Kindle ebook cover. In it, I mention America Runs on Duncan, the slogan. They're a place I actually go to. I love the chocolate cream filled donuts, and a bit of a critique. You need to start making more of them, or make sure all the places actually have them. Most of the Duncans around me don't have them. I often have to settle for the vanilla cream filled, but you know, that's okay too at times. So I recommend Dunkin' Donuts. I do. I really do. There's something look at this. If you're looking behind the scenes video, you can see I'm not starving. I've got some extra weight on me. Dunkin' Donuts calories might be part of the reasons why. Everything in moderation. Just don't pig out on donuts all the time. Morning, noon, and night. I don't know if Duncan's going to like me saying that or not. They want to sell as many donuts as possible. And of course, they sell coffee. But hey, that's the point. You're going to get real sponsorship reads from me, not fake, phony frauds that don't even use a product. Oh, let me read the following. And the next one I'm going to mention is Galaxy AI, which actually is now Magica, Magica. AI. And I use them. I've created a couple music videos of late. If you check on the video channels, they're not on all of them. YouTube and BitChute, my channels there have most my music videos or most my Suno songs, not all. You could check out the one I just did for Memorial Day 2026 for America 250. I wrote Memorial Day America 250 that I released on Memorial Day, and you can see that music video on my video platforms created by Magica AI, as well as another music video that I did for my Terrors, based on my Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You book. I wrote Awake, Not Paranoid song, and there is a music video for that at BitChute and YouTube. It may be at my other platforms. I don't remember offhand. I didn't look it up before hitting record. My apologies. You can reach out to the AI via Tiny URL. You know I love to use Tiny URL services to shorten links. tinyurl.com/Galaxy Magica AI. All one word, of course, run together. tinyurl.com/Galaxy Magica AI. That'll take you to them. And the last one I'm going to mention is Blipboards. You can rent a static billboard for your advertising needs, but those are expensive and they're static. Blipboards, for the same budget of one, you can advertise at 10 or more locations, whatever product and service you're trying to offer. So I recommend Blipboards. Again, they're not paying me to say this. I'm saying this as a customer. I haven't even reached out to them to be a sponsor on the show. Next, guess what I'll be doing next? Writing them a letter. Anyway, tinyurl.com/blipboards, BLIP boards, Blipboards, tinyurl.com/blipboards to check them out. Tell them I sent you.
Does God still speak today? He is in everything, in every way. In the growing trees, in every bird that chirps, dewdrops glistening, whispering in every breeze. Those all his works. Real question is, are you listening? Does God still speak today? I hear it in the trees, in every bird that chirps, in the things you let me see. Dewdrops glistening on the leaves at dawn. Those are his works to me all day long. When I look and listen, you are never far. Every little living thing says who you are. He is in everything. He is in everything. He is in shines and speaks so loud. You are here around me now. You are here right now. When I look and listen, you are never far. Every little living thing says who you are. He is in everything. He is in everything. He is in every way. In every breeze that moves, in every heart that waits. He is in everything. He is in everything. Open my eyes again. Teach my soul to see the holy and the simple, the wonder in the leaf. If I ask you where, you answer without words in the work of your hands. In the whole wide earth, He is in everything. He is in everything. He is in every way. He is in every way. In every breeze that moves, in every heart that waits. He is in everything. He is in everything. He is in everything. He is in everything. Sometimes it may be in metaphors, as riddles, in rhyme. He is speaking. Are we still listening in these fallen times?
Welcome to Christitutionalist Politics 4, the latest chapter in the CTP journey. Yes, it's come fast on the heels of CTP 3, but this time there's a reason. The world hasn't slowed down, and neither have I. So much has happened since CTP 3, I couldn't wait until 2026. The conversations, the challenges, the turning points, they demanded a response now. Drawn from countless posts, articles, podcast episodes, and exclusive videos, CTP4 brings it all together. Compact, sharp, and powerful. 10 chapters of insight you can dive into today. Shorter by design, packed with meaning, and offered at a special low cost. Because truth and perspective shouldn't wait. Christitutionalist Politics 4. Available now on Amazon Kindle ebook. Exclusive.
Like and subscribe to Christitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
Thank you for having tuned into another Christitutionalist podcast show. I really appreciate that you stopped by. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We need you to help spread the Christitutionalist movement. Thank you again. Take care. God bless. Love you all.